guys, I'm Lilo and you're watching Headbangers Lifestyle, and I'm here at Wacken Open Air in Germany, edition 2015, and I have here Paul O'Neill and I have Jon Oliva, and they're from TSO and Savatage. Welcome guys.
Thanks for having us.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, yesterday you did an amazing exclusive show, Savatage and TSO at one time. How was that? How did you go through this experience?
Honestly, it was, yeah.
It's all his fault.
Really?
Yeah,
all his
basically,
fault.
you know, last year, you know, Holger called and, you know, said that we could have both headline stages at the same time. And I'm like, wow, this is a great opportunity because, you know, we love Savatage, we love Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and there's been a lot of pressure, you know, to put Savatage back on the road, and Jon and I could have done it at any time, but we wanted to make sure that it was done right. We just didn't want to take the money. We wanted a huge show. We wanted the fans to get
It was our way of
more
thanking everybody.
Yeah, we wanted to thank them for all the support over the years. And so, since we had Trans-Siberian and Savatage at the same time, I'm like, okay, this could work great. And I figured, basically, you know, Jon, you know, we just stopped. You know, Jon is like in the best shape of his life. In my opinion, he sounds better, you know, than he did 20 years ago.
Oh, Paul.
And so we decided we would do, you know, like a 40-minute set, you know, on the true metal stage or the black stage, and then we would go, and we wanted to do something that had never been done before, and then we would do, you know, 40 minutes on the true metal stage, where we were going to do songs from the new upcoming TSO album, which is coming out in October, plus, you know, songs from Night Castle and Beethoven's Last Night. But then we wanted to do something that had never been done before, which was, we wanted, you know...
This is where it gets crazy,
yeah.
folks.
In '93, you know, when Atlantic first asked us to start the band, and, you know, Jon is great, like, you know, because his voice was getting burned out, and Jon cares more about the fans than his own financial well-being. So he decided to step aside, and not only did he step aside, he found Zach Stevens, trained him, you know, got him, you know, to be, you know, the great singer that he is. And then Jon and I were, you know, getting ready to release Romanoff on Atlantic, but then that horrible tragedy happened, you know, Jon Oliva died, and then for a while Jon and I were like, you know, Savatage album, Savatage tour, TSO album, you know, and back and forth and back and forth.
We're both 21 years old.
Yeah,
This is the result of that. So.
And it was like a flying switch swatch where everything just had to work perfectly. And then after Jon returned and did Poets and Madmen, which is one of my favorite albums that he's ever done, and especially songs like Morphine Child and The Rumor, actually singers to be in Trans-Siberian Orchestra have to study Jon Oliva on Morphine Child and The Rumor. And we give them lots of albums to study and learn rock. They all steal his albums, and that's the bar. If you're going to be a male singer, you know, Jon Oliva's the bar. And when we first did it with Atlantic, you know, Ahmed said, you know, what do you want to do? I said, I want to make a progressive rock band that can do anything with no limits. I want 4 guitar players, 4 keyboard players, 2 bass players, 2 drummers, 24 lead singers, a full string section, you know, in the studio, you know, not the whole string section on the road, you know, Pink Floyd-like production. And looks at me and goes, 24 lead singers, why? And I said, well, you know, as Jon and I learned a long time ago, writing a great song is only half the battle. Then you need, you know, the alchemist, the magician, to bring the song to life. Just because you have a great song, unless you have the singer to bring it to life, you know, it doesn't work. You know, I worship, you know, Bruce Springsteen. You know, he wrote Blinded by the Light, you know, but Man for Man, singer is a little bit better with it. He wrote Because the Night Belongs to Lovers. You know, Patti Smith, you know, sings a little bit better. Cat Stevens wrote The First Cut is the Deepest. Rod Stewart made it a hit. But, and I love those guys, you know, Bruce Springsteen changed my life. But it's, and also, when I say without limits, there's a lot of bands that had big choral sections, and when you would go to see them live, they would they just would cut it out, or they would put on a tape. But if you have 24 singers, you can do it.
Yeah.
We don't use tapes.
Yeah.
Oh.
But what was the biggest challenge then for this whole production?
Well, here
2 stages and
that was it. You know, when Trans-Siberian Orchestra tours, especially in the States, we have stages up, beds into the arena, but the main stage is, on one side. And when we saw Wacken, there's like, 10,000 in front of the true metal, 10,000 in front of, but they never see anybody on the black stage. And the people on the black stage, you can't see anyone on the one, and then you have the 60,000 that are far away. So we decided to take a risk. We were going to take the second half of the show would be Trans-Siberian Orchestra, everybody, the entire band would be, but instead of one big stage, it would be on two separate stages. So no matter where you were in that audience, if you were up front, you could see, Jon, the angst as he gets into every song, Al, as he's, putting words into the notes. But in a lot of ways, the best seats were way in the back.
Yeah.
And also, I wanted to like if the cuts went, but-da-da-dum, I wanted, the stages to go, this stage lights, this stage lights, this stage lights. Yeah. And we just wanted to have so much pyro and so many special effects. We flew over, literally a freighter load of special equipment. And the scary thing was
doing it without proper rehearsal.
Yes.
We didn't. That show you saw last night, all the lighting and pyrotechnics was never rehearsed. It was, Paul scripted it out, but we never got a chance to actually do it.
Yeah.
So last night that was it.
And here's the scary, Wednesday, Wacken was very kind and said, okay, Wednesday night, you guys have the stage and you can test all your equipment. But the weather decided to bring a windstorm that knocked all the equipment down, and it
ruined our clocks.
And then the Wacken crew got it all set back up, but we didn't get a chance to test it. So it's kind of like, a mission to the moon. Like, you work it all on paper, but you never test anything. You're like, okay, get in the capsule, go to the moon, we hope you get back. Yeah. And
that's about exactly what, that's a great analogy, because that's what we did.
I've been doing this for 42 years. This is by far the most complicated, expensive production ever done. And we did it just for one show.
Exactly, that's the main question. Yeah. So much work, huge production, just for one show.
Yes, because no one's ever done it before. We wanted to be the first.
And also...
But is it the last?
No. Honestly, we'll do something else again, except it'll be bigger and better. The whole point of Trans-Siberian Orchestra is to keep pushing the envelope and do things that have never been done before. And
which is hard nowadays in the music business, to do something that no one's done before. Right. Somehow we figured it out and we pulled it off. Yeah. Amazing.
And also,
that's why, look at us, we haven't slept in weeks.
And it also has been really complicated because we just bought more sound studios, because Jon and I, it was 6 main studios we always worked in our whole lives: Record Plant, Soundtracks, Hit Factory. One's a restaurant, one's an apartment building. They're all gone out of business. And then we heard Sound was closing the stores and was going to go out of business in last July.
We just bought it.
So we decided to buy it, sank millions of dollars into it.
Oh well.
And because so many other,
it's only money.
Ozzy Osbourne and all these other great, super heavy metal bands, recorded at Sound. So we wanted to save those rooms, because the acoustics and stuff like that. I mean, Pro Tools is great, iPhone's great, but certain albums, you need real studios to make great albums. I mean, you can't film Lord of the Rings on your iPhone. I mean, you can, but it won't be great. You need a real, movie studio. Yeah. You can't make TSO albums or Savatage albums, on Pro Tools. You need a real studio. Yeah. And then also, the other special thing was Wacken. There's something magical about Wacken. Recently, heavy metal's become a phenomenon. Mm-hmm. It's the first music that every nationality is in, every economic class. It doesn't matter if you're super poor or if you're multi-billionaire, they're all lifting into heavy metal. You see them in the audience. And they also did the generational jump. You look in that audience and you see, 14-year-old high school kids with Black Sabbath t-shirts on, standing next to a 50-year-old banker with Black Sabbath t-shirt. Yeah. And you see, one guy who only got like $20 in his pocket, and the other guy, is like a billionaire, and they're all rocking out to the same music. And the other thing I love about it, I bumped into the crowd because we wandered into the audience, and I was seeing people from Japan, China, Greece, Ireland, Spain, Brazil, South America, Mexico. But the thing that blew my mind the most was I bumped into two kids who were from Iraq. I think they were Sunni. And then I bumped into another two kids that were from Iran, and I think they were Shiite. Yeah, and you know, in the Middle East right now, they're like at war. But I think if those four kids bump into each other and they start to talk, if God forbid 3 years from now they meet in a battle in Syria and they see each other and like, wait a second, did I see you at Wacken in Germany 2 years ago? And the other guys, yes.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet $1 million, €1 million, $1 million Deutschmarks, that they would say they wouldn't shoot at each other. They would unchamber their bullets and they would go their separate ways, because it brings people together.
Yeah.
And in this days of the internet where everybody just stays at home, you know, on their little computers, they go to work, Wacken it's known around the world as the cathedral of heavy metal. So for us to play here, where people from every nationality, every age group, and they all get together, and also it's just the trust factor here. Like when I was wandering through the campsite, you know, I'm fascinated when you see these kids in sleeping bags, you know, with their suitcases, you know, with all their worldly possessions, their money, you know, their computers are in their tents, and they're not worried about anybody stealing it. And, you know, last night at the very end of the show, I jumped off the stage because I wanted to give a kid my guitar. And, you know, and by the way, that jump was a lot further than I thought it was. As I was falling, I'm like, where the heck is the ground?
Oh my God.
And so finally I hit, but when my glasses fell off, and, you know, but I always have backup pairs and everything else. And I gave the kid, you know, my jacket, I gave the other kid my guitar. But somebody in the crowd found my glasses and got it to the guy in security, who got it all the way back to me.
Oh.
And that wouldn't
That's nice.
that wouldn't happen anywhere else.
Yeah.
And also, I think everybody here looks out for each other. And now, normally these kinds of ideals, you know, should come from governments or religious leaders. Instead, it's coming from the music world. And the magical thing that I find about, to me, humanity started to move ahead. Human beings, when the first caveman trusted the caveman next door to not kill him in his sleep and not to steal his, you know, berries when he went out hunting. It's all based on trust. Trust is the key to human beings moving forward. And people don't trust their governments, they don't trust their banks, they don't trust their stockbrokers, they don't, you know, false advertising. It's like free, you know, with a $200, you know, deposit, you know, shipping and handling. But here, the trust is real. And if you see somebody, you know, that got here and for some reason run out of money and you have a little extra food, you know, you see people sharing and just taking care of each other. And, you know, in a world that right now, in my opinion, is in, you know, Europe, Asia, you know, North, South America, are in financial chaos, the governments are a mess, you know, the music world, but especially heavy metal and Wacken, it works. It just sets a great precedent. And it, and also,
yeah. But knowing all this, did you have to deal with some nervous feelings before going on stage, or right before?
The only thing we were nervous about was we didn't want to let down the fans, because Jon and I wanted to do this to say thank you to everybody, you know, all the metal world, and especially
we had
Europe.
lots of worries, because you're doing something at this level, you can't not be nervous.
Is it recorded? Main question.
Well,
DVD release of this special event.
No, and
or not?
by the way, there's
No?
another reason
So
why.
everybody who missed this event,
Oh,
bad luck.
no, one day we're going to do it. We just
do
want
something,
But so much of TSO, it's multi-dimensional. It's feeling the heat rolling across from the pyro. It's like, and here's another thing I love about live. You can watch a DVD at home, and, you know, when you hear Jon sing, it's great, it's magical. Or you hear, you know, a great solo from Al Petrelli or something like that. But, or Kayla Reeves, you know, who joined us when, you know, she was like, I like the fact that there's teenagers on the stage, 20s, 30s, 40s, people like Jon, you know, in our 50s, and you see the same thing
Why
in
did
the
you
audience.
have to tell them that we were in our 50s?
Okay, Jon's 19.
Thank you. I like that much
but-
better.
You know, Jon, in my opinion, is, you know, the greatest singer I've ever met. There's a lot of songs I never would have written if I had never met Jon. And because Jon, I know, can light them up. he has a, but more importantly, when we started TSO, we would have these young singers that didn't have a lot of experience, and Jon would take them under their wing, and he would like say, you know, you need to do this to make them, you know, believe.
I like doing that. I like working with the young. Well, yeah, but it's cool because it's, you know, like he was saying, TSO is something that's not going to go away, because we won't let it go away. But in order to keep it going, we have to cultivate the young talent, and that's important. The reason there's so many people involved is singing wise. We write so many different styles of music. We write a specific song. We'll search every corner of the earth to find the right voice to fit that song. That's one of the concepts. That's why it's something that'll go on as long as, until me and him are pushing up tulips. I thought you preferred daisies, right?
Tulips are nice, roses.
Tulips, daisies, roses, that's nice too. You know, that's the whole key behind it, is to keep it going forever, as long as the music is there, the young talent that we're cultivating, like Kayla, Robin, you know, some of our young singers.
Kayla's a perfect example. On the New Ice Castle album, Jon came up with this great Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith kind of like sleazy, you know, rock riff. And
which we originally thought was supposed to be a guy singing.
Yep. But,
and that little girl out there that's standing outside the window.
KK, Robin.
She came in and sang that, and I was just
actually, let me get them in.
I was like, holy shit.
I mean, you know,
it was great.
She joined us at 17, and he has made her make leaps and bounds just by, you know.
I gave her a good luck bracelet.
Because, by the way,
night too.
just because you're a great singer or a great guitar player, like, I give Jon, you know, singers, and he hands me back rock stars. I give Al guitar players, he hands me back rock stars. And I think Jon and I, you know, the first time we ever played in front of huge arenas, you got a rush. But right now, I think Jon and I get the same rush from seeing, like, Robin Borneman's from Holland, Kayla's from Texas, and just, you know.
Would you like to meet them?
Oh, the fact that in 50 years from now, when Jon and I are pushing up, you know, daisies, tulips, or roses, you know, watching these kids soar, and, you know, in 50 years from now, they're going to be, you know, the elder statesmen, and they will be mentoring the younger kids. And
that's our mission.
Because I'm sorry.
But, it's okay. But he has been all these nice words about you. But what do you think his strongest? What do you really like about working with Paul?
He's very polite. He's a genius. I work with a genius.
I'm finding a job, and no one's caught on for 42
Paul's
years.
Vision, he's got great vision, and he's an incredible lyricist, great music writer as well, and he has a way of pushing you.
I'm sorry, 1 second.
Gently, but just walk right in front of the camera next time there, Paul. There we go. He has a way of pushing you to a different level, you know, and that's the beautiful thing about him. Because he's just the kindest person you'll ever meet in your life. Very generous, very nice. And as Robin comes to join,
we have an extra guest here.
Oh yeah.
We got our two young proteges here.
Oh. Both these people scared the heck out of me because.
Well, he's scared. She doesn't scare me as much as this guy here because he's after my job. So.
But you want to know something? It's, you know, both these people, you know, my grandmother, you know, who's from Ireland, would call them old souls because, you know, Jon's lived such an interesting life.
I'm not an old soul.
No.
I'm a middle-aged soul.
They're old souls. Jon, I think, is able to, like, put all these emotions because he's lived such an intense life, and, you know, he identifies with it. You know, Robin and Kayla, they have a sympathy for humanity that allows them to put emotions that they shouldn't be able to put in because they're too young to feel certain things that have happened.
Well, I don't know, Robin.
Like, Robin is too young to know the regret of being, you know, 60 years old and realize you've wasted all your life, you know. I never wanted to know, I never wanted to see, I wasted my time till time wasted me, I always wanted to go, I always wanted to stay for the person I am, the parts that I play. He shouldn't be able to sing that with the angst that you believe him. But by working with Jon.
Well, I came up with an idea. What we were doing at rehearsals with Robin to get him into the vibe was I had this little flamethrower, and I would just go behind him and burn his ass. And he would, I never wanted. Now, I was going to do that to KK, but I thought that might not go over so well.
Oh, and with KK, we broke a major TSO rule because you're not allowed to join TSO. In America, you're not an adult, you're 18. But KK was 17.
Yeah, you realize that you were the one exception to
and
the
I'm
rule.
like, we've got to get her. So, we got her emancipated. And at 17, she was headlining arenas in America. And she was great then. And then every year she gets better and better and better. And to just watch this young fledgling falcon just leave the nest early and soar, it's a rush. And then also, like I mentioned before, Jon and I have so many songs, so many great things. There's one song we've had in our back pocket forever that we've never been able to find the right singer for. And when we're doing the new album, I played it for Robin. I'm like, Robin, you think you could have done it? He's like, I could do this. And when?
And he sure did.
And he did.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, and so it's, basically it's getting the right songs and doing the right arrangements, getting the productions, but then the final moment, and without it, everything else is useless, is to get the right alchemist, the right magician, to bring the song to life.
So, can you reveal anything already? It's
Well, we
called
did last night.
Letters.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
From the
You mean
letters?
about? Well, we debuted what 3 songs last night
yeah,
from it.
Prometheus.
What is their concept art here?
No, this
Actually,
you better answer that one shortly.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
the original deal with the Warner Brothers was 6 rock operas, a trilogy about Christmas, and 1 or 2 regular albums. We haven't done the regular album yet, but and this is supposed to be it. But now I'm starting to lean towards making it a rock opera.
Okay.
I knew it.
Yep.
I knew it. You promised me no rock opera
actually,
this time.
John was the
You
one.
lied to me again.
But John, you were the one that made Night Castle a rock opera,
Yeah, but that was.
and you were right.
Yeah, but I was right then. I'm wrong now.
Because one thing we
Don't
learned,
listen to me ever again, please.
labels always want you to deliver the album on time, and when they don't, they get very cranky.
So we're not into
But-
time.
But once the album goes platinum, all is forgiven. So the minute Night Castle went platinum, we're like, okay, all is forgiven. And actually, would you guys like to see the new cover?
You're on TV. You're not supposed to move.
You know, yeah.
She's the boss.
Amusement TV.
Help me, Jesus. So we've answered now one question that took an hour.
Yeah,
What-
exactly.
How many more do we have?
No.
I'm
Do we have enough time in the day to fill this all?
Depending on the guy who's filming.
Well, depending on the guy who made the interview schedule
Yeah,
today.
I had another read.
Guys had something?
Yeah.
If I find it, I find it. If not, what's the next question?
Well, we've answered one so far, so
Okay, proudest moment so far for you?
finishing this interview.
Oh!
No,
No, seriously.
Honestly,
Proudest moment
honestly-
so far in your career.
last night.
I agree with him.
Yeah.
Wow! I don't believe it. It's gonna snow. What about you? Proudest moment of your career?
Yes,
Last
honest.
night?
Last night.
Do we have any unanimous last night? See, there you go, folks.
Can I show it?
Absolutely.
So, here we have
How did I break my watch?
the cover of the new
I
album.
can't get it to,
Looks really good.
Yep.
So when it's gonna be out?
October.
October. So that's very soon. And after that, plans for
It's a tricky one.
another
Isn't it?
tour in Europe, or what are you gonna do?
Tour, Asia, America.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have another North American tour coming up, and
We're very busy.
part of the problem is, Savatage albums are complicated. TSO album, it's not 2 guitars, bass,
weird,
drums. You're done.
Yeah.
And also, our shows, are like huge productions, and we change them every time.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I told my accountants, we're going to do this show, and
Yeah, let me see that. I think if you
do all this change, this set is only going to be used once. After now, we take it apart and build a new set for the next tour, and it's insane, but it's worth it. Just when you see the, the audience and the faces, and I really liked it. Like after Sava started playing, and then the people in front of the Savage, and then TSO started playing, and the people they're like, oh, now we're on the wrong side of the the festival, and then bam, both stages came on, and no matter where you were in that festival, if you had a great place, you were either right in front of one of the two stages, and in many ways the people furthest back had the best seats because they could see everything going off at once.
I saw nothing but flames in my eyes. I have no hair on my arms anymore, by the way.
Oh yeah.
And part of my leg.
By the way, my apologies, Jon. That was me.
Thank you.
Save some shade.
I knew you wanted to get rid of me.
No,
but
it wasn't that. I was just like
80,000 people.
Our lamps got burned by the lights when we were doing backgrounds. So hot. I had to.
But
so it's not without risk.
It was a unanimous decision that last night was everybody's proudest moment so far because we actually pulled this nightmare off.
Insane.
It was it really,
without personal injury, nervous breakdown, financial crippleness, or anything else. We did it.
By the way, there's a guy named Felix from EMP who Jon and I have known for decades, and he just said, like, he looked at Jon, Al, and myself. He goes, Jon, Al, he doesn't fight, but he trains as a boxer for Stanima. That's our MD, our genius. That's the guy I was talking about before. And and he, Jon, he looked at me and he said, Al had like this pensive look of a fighter right before he's going to go into the ring. Jon was like, and he goes, Paul, your hands were shaking. And this is like 10 minutes before we're going to hit the stage.
Actually, we're still looking for Al Petrelli's nerves somewhere. They're somewhere buried in the mud somewhere.
They're on 75 and 10.
They're on 75 and 10.
But you made it. We
did it, and it was a
show,
lot of fun.
And it was a success, and people loved it. And
we want to thank everybody.
Oh, and honestly,
it
is everybody. I mean, our crew is beyond belief. They don't know
our
the
very
word
wet,
impossible.
muddy crew, by the way.
And also the crew at Wacken. Every time we ran into a problem, it was like, oh my God, we can't do this now. They're like, no, we'll fix it. Yeah. Wacken's crew just has this esprit de corps, like,
they never give up.
Yeah.
As muddy as they were.
And so
they even gave us their own rain jackets. Some of us.
Honestly, they were so great.
I think Al Petrelli's still. How many did you end up getting? 3, 4.
What the rest?
Yeah.
Oh, we were freezing. We're like, it's July 30th.
It was cold, man.
It's like,
and coming from Florida.
Yeah.
And then
Quite a change.
And also because I spent most of the time back with the laser pyro and lighting guys watching the cues, my hands just getting colder and colder. And so when I finally got to the stage, my fingers were like, you want me to do what? And it was
it was quite an experience, I guess.
So you saw the show, right?
Yeah.
And
I was the best one, wasn't
Of course you were, as always. I guess this sounds like a really nice closure. Is there anything you really like to say to the fans?
Thank you.
Thank you
for
again,
years and years
for decades. It all wouldn't have been possible without you guys.
Providing a living for me so my wife can spend all the money.
And then the other thing that made me feel really, really good was just watching Robin and KK last night, just because now I'm 1,000% convinced that it's going to continue, because basically Savatage, TSO would not exist wasn't for Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Mozart, Beethoven, and as Al Petrelli says, Pythagoras, who over 2,000 years ago invented the chromatic scale. Every band builds on the band before it, and the whole idea is push it, make it better, because the arts is what unites everybody, what keeps everybody together. And people have different tastes in foods or where they want to live or their housing, but you hear Pachelbel's Canon, which was written I think in 1200 AD, and it still relaxes you, helps you go to sleep, or if you hear Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, it makes you want to get out of bed and go take that day on. And
there you go.
Yeah,
and take it from there.
So music gets you up every day out of bed.
Music is
every day morning.
Yeah. I honestly believe that, music is the alpha and omega of humanity. I think human beings, when they first started to trust each other and they would sit around the fire telling stories, and eventually that became music, and we would just like to keep building on that, and you know, and again, just you know,
We just want to thank everybody.
we just want to thank everybody.
Yes. And I'm gonna thank you guys there for watching Headbangers Lifestyle.
Dankeschön.
Yeah, you
It's
can
not,
start.
it's not a
Yeah,
problem.
it's
What are you doing?
Metal.
It's
Yeah.
running. Okay, you can go ahead.
Okay.
If you don't want, I take away.